Hey, thanks for listening. My name is Val, and I'm a computer programmer and a musician and a filmmaker. And I've recently got interested into cryptocurrencies and started learning about them. And I've uncovered how important they are, and I've been trying to share it with as many people as I can. And today, I want to start talk about my thoughts on fear, uncertainty, and doubt surrounding cryptos in general, and Bitcoin and other cryptos. And basically, I was watching a video, or I've watched several videos where people are, trying to warn people off of Bitcoin and crypto, saying different things. It's a fad. It's a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. All these kind of things. And I want to tell you what I think about those things. So the first one is cryptos are fiat. Currency printed out of thin air, not backed by anything, like the U.S. dollar. It used to be backed by gold until the 70s, and now it's not backed by anything. It's just literally monopoly money. And that's true. Cryptos are like that. The main difference between cryptos that are mined, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, or Ether, is that it takes time, energy, computing power to actually create those currencies. So there is an expense. You're taking that, just like if you go to a mine with your pick and axe, take your time and energy, and then pan it, and then you have gold, and then someone wants that gold, and you exchange it. It's the same principle. You're taking energy and time and work, and you are creating something of value. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. Yes, it is not backed by anything. It is backed, just like the current dollars or euro or whatever, it's backed by confidence. And confidence is lessening in the euro and the dollar and the yuan, all the fiat that can be printed out of existence. Mined cryptos like Bitcoin have a limit. Once they're all mined, you cannot mine anymore. All you can do is use them to exchange. So that's the benefit. And over fiat, like dollars. But if you look back in history, for instance, the Yap people, it was a people in Micronesia who used these very large stone rings, weigh about 4 metric tons or 8,800 pounds, and they would remember, everybody in the tribe would remember who owned which coin, and then they would remember when someone transacted, they would spread the word, and they would know, oh, now so-and-so owns this instead of the other guy. Blockchain technology is the same thing. It keeps this record, which you can't overwhelm. It's very hard to overwhelm. You have to overwhelm at least 51% or more of the computers in the network in order to change the blockchain. And basically, people remember this, and this blockchain is a source of truth. So you know who owns what at any given point in time. So it's very different than fiat dollars, which a bank can just create, and you have credit cards. You don't even get printed dollars anymore. They're trying to get rid of printed dollars or printed currency in favor of just all digital cash anyways. So what's the difference? Who cares that it's like fiat? It's even better than fiat because you can't inflate it on some of these coins, and there's no central bank holding these little notes and saying, okay, these notes are now worth less because I'm printing more, or I'm holding all your dollars now. I'm closing the bank down. You can't have any dollars like they did in Greece. So, not the same, but yeah, they are like fiat. But so what? Stones are very hard to trade with. Gold and silver are hard to trade with as well, because if you want to buy a car in gold, how much gold do you need to take? Or how much silver? If you want to buy a loaf of bread, your gold's not going to help you, right? Because it's too much. So, this is a very good alternative. It's not going away. Alright, which brings me to the next one. Cryptos are in a bubble. No. The cryptos are not in a bubble by any stretch of the imagination. If you look at anything to become adopted by the mainstream, it takes about 3% adoption rate before it even becomes mainstream. We're at maybe 1% of adoption rate all over the world. Cryptos are global. Anywhere, there's people who don't even have internet yet. When they have internet, then there'll be even more people to adopt. So you understand, it's just still a very early, young market. Even though Bitcoin started at less than pennies and now it's over $4,000 today. Not a bubble. The stock market was in a bubble when your cab driver was telling you to invest in this stock or that stock. The housing bubble the housing market was in a bubble when strippers own 3 and 4 homes. Okay, it's very, very different. Don't be fooled. You look at overall trend of cryptos and it's trending up. It's going up. Not in a bubble. Okay, number 3, there's too many cryptos. That's true. There's like over 900 right now. And that's a good thing, because it's the free market that's going to determine which ones are good and which ones are bad. the ones that you buy will be adopted, and the ones you don't buy will stop being adopted. It gives you choices. It creates competition. You obviously have a bunch of scams, so you have to be informed, and you need to be personally responsible for your investments, just like the stock market or buying a house, that you're going to rent out or whatever. It's your responsibility. You need to do it. Do your due diligence, and look at them. What are they for? Are they just another cryptocurrency used for exchanging goods and services? They're competing with Bitcoin and Litecoin, or Monero or Dash, that are privacy minded. Who are they competing with? What is their space? Then you can tell, is it worth it? Because Monero, Dash, Bytecoin, Zcash, they're all privacy coins with different market caps and different values. Obviously, the ones that have more value, people value more. So there's lots to look at. You just need to be informed. Cryptos are the Wild West. Again, that's very true, and that is a good thing. As soon as you start regulating things, you start taking people out of the equation. People with good ideas who don't have the money or the means to follow all these crazy regulations, who can't file for a patent, will lose. It stifles innovation. If you don't have regulation, anybody can get on there and create a better idea, a better iPhone, whatever, a better company. But you need to do your due diligence, because there is a lot of scams out there. You need to know. You need to follow people who know and see what they say, and obviously they can also lie to you, or they can be mistaken. It's your responsibility ultimately to decide to invest or not. But it's a very good thing, and you'll notice that a lot of ICOs now preclude U.S. residents from investing because of regulations. So you're missing out on income opportunities, and okay, maybe you're missing out on some of the frauds, but why do you want to block yourself out of opportunity? So again, regulations just create a gray or black market. It's all you're really accomplishing. You still have, you may feel more safer because, there's less fakery going out there. But again, someone's always willing to sell you a bridge to nowhere or some snake oil, and you just need to know what it is and when to say no. It's very simple. You just need to learn. Can't be lazy. Just like the ICOs, for instance, there's a lot of ICOs and a lot of them are scams, but there's ways to know, and there's plenty of videos explaining on what you need to know to determine whether or not something can be a scam. And if you're in doubt, don't do it. There's plenty of other cryptos, plenty of other ICOs. Okay, number 5. Nothing is stopping the big banks from pumping and dumping Bitcoin. Sure, that's very true. Look at the stock market. There's like 1 or 2 stocks that are like flying high because central banks, like Switzerland's buying a bunch of Apple or whatever. And they're still wrecking the stock market. It's not helping my 401k at all, though, right? And recently they did try and pump and dump Bitcoin. And what happened? We're now even higher than it was. You know what I mean? Why? Because adoption rate. People are still buying. And the free market has not determined the fair market value for this. So they can raise it up and then dump it. But they have not reached the top because there's very little adoption still. So they're going to get as high as people will take it. And then they decide to drop. And then it'll drop as far as it's going to go. And then it'll bounce back up. I don't think they... And even then, even if they do succeed in that and take over Bitcoin, oh my gosh. Okay, they've made a bunch of millionaires in the process who have also followed this strategy and dumped it and are now buying low. But what about all the other Bitcoins? There's over 900 of them. Are they going to pump and dump all of them? They don't understand Bitcoins. They don't understand this stuff. They're just scared of it, and they should be scared of it, especially the big banks, because cryptos make them obsolete. You won't need banks. You just do everything peer-to-peer. You don't need a bank to tell you how much money you have and make a mistake and freeze your money or whatever. You don't need it. And they are going to be very afraid, and they're going to do whatever they can to stop it. But they will not succeed. It's software. Anybody can create a cryptocurrency, and spread it around. So if they take one over, we create another one and move on. And they can keep doing that until we stop accepting dollars. And then the exchanges won't accept dollars, so they won't have any more effect because no one's going to take their dollars in exchange for cryptos. Also, think of cryptos as a foreign currency. If you're buying inside the country, buying and selling products inside that country, the exchange rate of that currency has no impact on you. Because if it takes me $1 to produce it, and I sell it for $2 like a loaf of bread, and I, have my own wheat and my own pesticides and everything, whatever. Well, that same dollar, or still buys it no matter what in China the dollar is worth, or in euros, it doesn't matter, because everything is local. So I can use that dollar to produce the same thing and charge the same $2 to keep earning my living. It's the same thing with cryptos. If you get out from fiat completely and stop using banks, then you don't have an issue. They can't really do much to it, So just let's get out of fiat and just go totally into cryptos. Number 6, cryptos are a creation of the big money interests. Okay, so Bitcoin, I don't think at all was created by them. Bitcoin, through the white paper, was created to circumvent the need for a central entity to control money and transactions, and to also give you a level of privacy. But let's assume that they did. Who cares? What difference does it make? Oh, they're conditioning you. Look, we're already conditioned. We're already using digital cash. Most people don't have bills or change in their wallets anymore. It really doesn't matter who created it, because the benefits are still there. And this is not just for exchanging goods and services like currency. It's a lot more than that. And it's a game-changing technology. It's like the iPhone or the internet, the printing press. It is that huge. It is that much of a game changer, I believe. And regardless of who created it, the technology is there. It's open source. Anybody can create their own version, and there's plenty of versions around for different things. So it doesn't matter that they created it or whatever. It is a technology that is here to stay. You can look at more and more use cases, like you can record, who owns a car or a house or a musical instrument, all these transactions. It's a ledger. It is an encrypted ledger that sits there on all these computers, so you can't tamper with it, and you can't fake it, and it forces things to happen. Like Ethereum, you have contracts that will, you and I strike up a contract, and you put money in there for my services. Once I deliver that service, boom, the ether gets transferred to me. You can't cheat me out of that payment. So I know that I won't be cheated. It's a fantastic technology, and there's more and more possibilities and opportunities coming, and people need to understand it's not just Bitcoin. It's a whole technology, and it's not going away at all. Unless someone cuts off the internet to the whole world, and then when it comes back, blockchain's still there, then you can't do anything about it. If they did it, they sealed their own coffin. And good riddance. Which brings me to number 7. Cryptos are a fad. Look, Microsoft has put their name behind Ethereum. And they have developers who just released a platform called Coco to support Ethereum and development in Ethereum. Russia spoke with the creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, and they're maybe talking about having their own cryptocurrency to replace the ruble. And they're creating a huge Bitcoin mining company. China already has one. They're investing in people who understand cryptos, the programmers, the government, to research their own currencies and their own technology to make use of it. It is not a fad. There's 2 of the 3 largest powers in the world. You have U.S., Russia, and China, right? It's geopolitics 101. And 2 of them are behind Bitcoin and you think and cryptos. You just have the U.S. being left out. Why? Why? All they're trying to do is regulate it and not lose control, because they have control of the money supply, and they want to control your life using the money supply and making themselves richer, through the banking systems and the Federal Reserve and all that stuff. But the cryptos make all of that obsolete. They're very scared, and they should be, but they can't do anything about it. It's like Pandora's box. It's out of the... It's out of Pandora's box. It's out of the box. It's not going to go anywhere. Sorry, that little thing on my screen there. Now, number 8 is cryptos are not liquid. Or are they liquid? And yes, they are. If you look at coinmarketcap.com, you will see the 24-hour volume for some of the cryptos are higher than the stock market almost. I mean, not much, not really, because the stock market is like in billions. In trillions, I should say. But there's a lot. There's billions, there's millions, there's hundreds of thousands. There's a lot of transactions going on daily on all these different cryptos. So it's very liquid. You can take it to an exchange like Coinbase.com or Gemini.com, Kraken.com in the US, or all the different ones, and exchange for fiat. So they are very liquid. It takes minutes, I mean seconds in some cases, to get your transactions through. So absolutely they're liquid. And you can go to localbitcoins.com, for instance, and then change your bitcoins for hard cash without there being any record that can then be audited by a government and so forth. So that's another important way of doing it. So, which actually, now think about it, if you look at it, there's been a big push to go to a digital cashless society. Like in India, they're taking away the 500. They took away the 500 rupee note, and they're trying to, they call it black money. They're trying to control, which means they want to know how much you're spending, and it needs to go through a bank so they can control it, they can freeze it, they can tax it, and all that stuff. Cryptos can't be taxed. Okay, it's very hard to know, and the government has said it. Obama has said it. A lot of people have said it. It's very hard to track. I mean, there's currencies that are privacy-minded where you cannot know who's got what. The transactions are jumbled with other transactions, and the addresses are just strings of numbers that you can't identify. So, and you can create any number of these addresses every time you do a transaction. So it's like one-time pads. It's very hard it's almost impossible to figure out who has what. And so the governments are very afraid of it, and they should be, because again, governments are going to become superfluous. Most of the functions of government can be replaced by the blockchain. Who owns what house? Blockchain can do that. You can't lose the title. You can't take too long to process it. All this other stuff, and you can't fake it. Anybody can see, and whoever has the private keys can say, "This is my house. Here's my private key." Boom, unlock it. Done deal. Obviously, we're still ways from that, but voting, another example. You can't fake the blockchain. So I vote here. I can't go to another state and vote. You know what I mean? So, and you can't take my vote and change it with calculations like a voting machine has been proven to do many times. That voting machines can be changed, can be modified, hacked to vote to give the votes to whoever you want. Unless you sit there and count every single vote on a paper ballot, it's a computer program. I can do whatever I want, and unless you're looking at the code, you can't figure it out. So it's even that the blockchain can change. So the ramifications are immense, and it's just getting started. So don't be afraid. Yes, the price is going to go up and down. It's going to be very volatile, but the trend is going to be up. We are at 1% adoption, and the use cases are only going to get more and more widespread, better, and there's going to be a lot of competition for these things. And as long as there's low regulations, the better products will win in the free market. Regulations destroy the free market. They make it hard for this little guy to compete. Only the big guys who can afford the lawyers and all this regulation, stuff you have to jump through, win. Believe me, if you are a small business, you are going to benefit from this. Big businesses are going to be in the same level playing field, and they don't like it, and that's why there's so much attack and there's so much FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, being passed around. Don't listen to it. Get into cryptos. Buy and hold. Sooner or later, we'll be able to get off of fiat completely, and then the banks will lose their grasp on us and their control of us, and so will governments, and we'll be able to exchange freely ideas, thoughts, products without, being taxed out of existence or being, banned or, out-regulated. I mean, if you look at the sanctions, I don't agree with sanctions that the U.S. has passed. Europe is having trouble with them now because they had agreements with Russia for mining mining equipment for oil in the Arctic that Russia is trying to do, and now there's potential that EU is going to put sanctions on the U.S. because the U.S. has put sanctions on anyone dealing with Russia. And it's stupid. It's like this crazy thing. It's like politicians are like children, and they should just get out of the way of commerce. Commerce is the backbone of the economy. It's the lifeblood of the world. If we can have economy, trading things back and forth, everyone's happy. But governments try to steal some of that for their own pockets, for their own friends, and they mess things up. And cryptos are a way out of that. And I think it's great. So sorry for my ranting. Thank you for listening. And again, cryptos. Find out about them. Educate yourself and get involved. They're not going away, and they're only going up. Thanks for listening.